What is up, boys? Welcome back to another trade recap. So today we made $1,219. Actually, that was yesterday in Asia session at night, and then we got a little bit more today. Just went for a small little scalp at market open. So just trading evals right now because we did blow those other accounts after taking 4 payouts. So we're just focusing on building up the eval stack at the moment. You could see the trade of 8 P&L right here. So pretty much halfway past these, and then should have them hopefully passed by this week. All right, so the Asia trade that I took yesterday was actually so clean. We had very obvious buy side draws on liquidity, tons of low resistance liquidity built up right here. And then of course we had this higher time frame 1 hour high here, which actually ended up being the same draw on liquidity that we used today, but I'll get into that in just a second. So basically the trade idea here was price came down and tapped into this bullish 5-minute fair value gap, a very clean continuation with tons of LR here. Now, when I trade evals, I trade extremely aggressively. I want to pass them as quick as possible, ideally 2 or 3 trades. So I'm risking basically the entire drawdown and just going for negative RR, or risking 1,000 to make 1,500 and then doing that again the next day. I'm also okay with targeting lower time frame draws on liquidity like this. Like, for example, typically I wouldn't take something like this because of how far we are from the draw on liquidity here, especially in Asia session, because the range is a lot smaller. But we had quite a bit of volume and movement, which is the best time to trade Asia. And the main draws were this low resistance liquidity that was built up. So as you can see, we're clearly pushing to the upside, tapped into this 15-minute, still respecting this 5-minute bullish gap. And then I entered on the next displacement candle right here. It was like mid candle, and I was just targeting like 0.5 R, something like this. I have the actual trade posted in my Discord with the screenshot and execution, but this is just what I remember. So basically entered mid candle here and hit almost instantly. And then this ended up delivering all the way to that buy side draw on liquidity that I had marked out right here, and then continued even higher after that. But this is just a textbook continuation. And if you guys are ever trading Asia session, this is the type of movement you want to see. Very clean momentum towards your draws on liquidity with lots of volume. You don't want to see those small little candles that are just kind of chopping around and they aren't moving with any sort of significance, right? So I made about 1,100 off of this trade, something like, or 1,000 or 1,100 off that trade. So now coming into today, I just wanted to get the remainder, like that extra 400 or 500 on the eval so that it was half passed. And the reason for that is because through these lucid evals, there's a 50% consistency rule. So I can only make 1,500 per day. And when you trade Asia, that's still a part of the New York AM session for the next day. So I can't make any more than that consistency rule. So my idea was to risk heavy and just go for negative RR again, just to get that $400, but still taking an A+ setup, something that I have a lot of conviction in. Pre-market, it was actually very obvious. I was just looking for longs. We're very obviously displacing to the upside here. We have a clean draw on liquidity right here. So now I was just looking for price to continue to respect this 15-minute gap, because it's very common for price to remanipulate. Even though we already tapped into this 15-minute gap, I want a price to come back down, tap into this 15-minute, and then get displacement out, targeting these buy-side draws on liquidity. Because I was just going for that 400 and risking basically the entire drawdown, I only needed a very small win here. So I entered right here and I was out right here. Now the issue is I had my bracket order set up, so I was risking the drawdown to make 400, but it ended up getting filled at like $150 instead of 400. So we didn't make the full 400, unfortunately, because I didn't even have time to move it. It hit TP so fast. It ended up playing out okay. So I was basically done for the day, and I'm going to take another trade tomorrow to hopefully pass those evals. This trade didn't actually end up playing out. We had a ton of low resistance liquidity here and a very obvious buy side draw. Clean continuation. Like, this is my textbook setup right here. Again, we hit TP here for the evals, but if you were to have held it all the way up to here, then it probably would have been just a break-even trade. Now, just a quick tip for you, if you do risk very heavy on your evals, you have to remember that if you're trading an end of day trailing drawdown account, your drawdown doesn't adjust until the actual day is over, right? So let's just say you make $1,000 on your first trade. That means you have $3,000 of drawdown up until the day is over. So take advantage of that. That means if you risk $1,000 and you take 2 trades in one day, like for example, like what I did, I made just over 1,000 on the first trade, and then I was going for 1,500, risking very heavy. It allows you to risk a little bit more because you now have $3,000 of drawdown instead of 2,000. Now, if you were to wait until that day is over, then it gets set back to 2,000 because your drawdown trails. But within that session, you have a little bit more drawdown and room to be able to risk and be a little bit more aggressive on these evals. Again, fundeds, I trade different, but evals, I'm very aggressive, want to pass them fast. So now after this, I was done for the day, got my wins, but there was another beautiful setup here. First thing is why at this point would I switch my draw on liquidity? Okay, so first it is this buy side draw right here. We're clearly displacing to the upside, respecting bullish fair value gaps, right? But at this point right here, price is clearly ripping through these 5-minute gaps, completely disrespecting them, which we should respect if we are bullish. And you can see it. It's just very obvious momentum here, like very bearish candles. And we're pushing towards this sell side draw on liquidity. We have tons of LR here as well. And now I'm going to set my condition, right? Waiting for this next 5-minute fair value gap to open up, which it happens right here. We tap into this, so it's okay, are we going to get a reaction out of here? And if we do, with displacement, then I'm going to be looking for a short. And now I didn't take this myself, but I did alert this in live time on my Discord. So stop at the swing high as always. As you can see, very clearly bearish when we tap into this 5-minute. We're not ripping through it. We're respecting this fair value gap and then targeting this sell side draw on liquidity. And this just delivered beautifully. I absolutely would have taken this if I didn't already have my wins for the day, but just delivered all the way down to this second sell side draw. I think this was London low right here. This was my favorite trade of the day right here. If you're new to trading my model, you can get my full displacement model PDF. It's in my free Discord. The link is in the description below. That shows you all the A+ chart examples, how to find the draw on liquidity, and just a step-by-step guide of my full model. It also shows some very common mistakes that I used to make when I first started trading this model and how I've learned to avoid them after taking thousands of trades using this. So if you guys want that, again, the link is in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.